Happy weekend, Canada. Welcome back to the Paralympic Super Series Wheelchair Rugby World Championships presented by Canadian Tire Sport Analytics. I am Benoit Rutt. I am your host at these World Championships. And unfortunately for Team Canada, we are not going to be on the podium. But we are going to play more matches at these World Championships. And coming up in a package show, we are presenting you a game against New Zealand. Now the objective of Team Canada is to finish or maximize their ranking at these World Championships, and they can be now between the 5th position and the 8th position. So if they win this match today, they will play tomorrow for the 5th or 6th position. And if they lose this match, they will play tomorrow for the 7th and 8th position. New Zealand has a great tradition in wheelchair rugby. They were the Paralympic champion in 2004 in Athens, and they've been on many podiums at the Paralympics. Alors, re-bienvenue à cette super série paralympique, les championnats du monde de rugby en fauteuil roulant ici au Danemark. Je suis Benoit Rutt, j'ai le privilège d'être votre hôte pour ces championnats du monde. Le Canada, malheureusement, ne sera pas sur le podium à ces mondiaux. Ils ont malheureusement perdu contre les Américains en quart de finale. Mais maintenant, l'objectif, c'est de se classer avec le meilleur classement, la meilleure position. Alors, le Canada peut maintenant terminer de la 5e à la 8e position. Aujourd'hui, on a fait un montage des faits saillants du match contre la Nouvelle-Zélande. Et le gagnant de ce match demain aura la chance de se classer entre la 5e et la 6e position. Et le perdant de ce match jouera demain pour la 7e à la 8e position. Et la Nouvelle-Zélande a une très grande tradition en rugby, bien sûr. Les Néo-Zélandais avaient été les champions paralympiques à Athènes en 2004 et ils ont monté à plusieurs reprises sur un podium paralympique. L'an dernier, aux Jeux paralympiques de Tokyo, la Nouvelle-Zélande avait terminé en 8e position. Let's go to the court and see the highlights of this game against New Zealand.
Chris, what are you expecting from this game today?
Well, I'm expecting Canada to be probably the favourites here. You know, they've got a really experienced team. You know, they've played at the very highest level for a long time. But New Zealand have had a really strong tournament. They've had some classification changes, which we'll get into in a few minutes. But, you know, this lineup with Hayden Barton-Coote, Cam Leslie, Lafono and Gavin Rolton is, you know, pretty formidable. So they'll be looking to get off to a solid start.
And I think they'll be looking to win the tip-off with Hayden Barton-Coote's almost telescopic arms. Zach's in there and he's right up there trying to get it. But the ball's gone to the touchline and referee Katharina Adler-Dollhofer from Austria says it's going to be... I think she's indicating a New Zealand ball. Yeah, so Zach must have got in there with the last touch on that tip. So referee Paulina Schmidt administering the inbound, and Cameron Leslie, the man you were referring to in terms of those classification.
Yeah, so he came into this week as a 3-point classification. People have classifications at these major tournaments, and he's actually come down in class, so he's now playing as a 2.5 player, which gives New Zealand a lot more flexibility with their lines. It allows them to essentially have another half point of function on the floor.
Yeah, that's really helpful. But is it not also on occasions disruptive when you've trained with certain lines and then suddenly you think, oh, I can do this now, and maybe that line hasn't trained together before?
Yeah, I mean, well, it definitely can mess with the chemistry, but ideally you would be better if you know, if all of your athletes are at the level they should be, you know, competing in their class. If you can have that extra half a point, it should benefit your team. So,
yeah,
less chemistry, but more function on the floors.
Yes, and it's all about function.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
Yep. So we have a New Zealand inbound after there was an equipment timeout. The possession clock hasn't reset, so they're down to 20 seconds of their original 40. And the Canadian key defence very strong at the moment. Travis Morale leaning back, pushing back, making sure Lafono can't get through. Leslie's looking for a space. He's found it. Yeah, good try there for the men in black. Great to see. If you're joining us from Canada, it's probably a very, very early morning for you. And if you're joining us from New Zealand, it's probably very, very late in your evening. So thank you for listening. Oh, big hit there by Barton Coots. First turnover of the game.
And this is an absolutely fantastic start for New Zealand. Their offense has looked really, really calm and actually not too difficult. And they just got their first turnover there against Canada.
Yep, that's what they'll be looking for. They pop the ball over to Cameron Leslie. They're looking for a planned move here against Canada's key defence. Leslie tries to slice in, but his way's blocked, but Barton Coots is free at the corner. Good work by New Zealand, an early lead, 5-3. If the ball rolls free for 3 or 4 seconds, you've got that extra 3 or 4 seconds. We see the introduction of Marshall Amai as Mike Whitehead comes on for Canada, turns away because Canada want to manage that clock.
Did just see Canada getting another turnover there with Trevor Hirschfield retrieving the long pass.
So Canada into the lead, 14-13. So Whitehead, Byron Green and Trevor Hirschfield, the captain, on for Canada. And that's another turnover. Pressure forcing that loose pass.
Yeah, this is a really experienced line that's come on. Mike Whitehead, a veteran of the game, one of the smartest players out there. And also with Trevor Hirschfield, he's really a world-class one-pointer. So,
yes,
they've got a great lineup out there now, Canada.
New Zealand using their second timeout there. That's 2 in quick succession for them. Always nice to go into the fourth quarter with a few left in your back pocket, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
But they're there to be used, and you use them when you have to. And yes, Whitehead, I think he's been at the Paralympics 5 times. He made the national team back in 2001 for Canada, and what he might have lost in a bit of pace, he certainly makes up for in experience and his knowledge and understanding of the game.
Yeah, and he's a horrible player to play against when he's near you. His hands and his reaches are so good, they're so strong. If he gets his hand on the ball, it's almost like it's glued to his hand.
Yeah, a tough competitor by any stretch of the imagination. And, HBC, I quite like that. Got to make sure we don't confuse ourselves with any banking companies. But Leslie finds Barton Coots. He crosses to reduce the deficit to 1. Trevor Hirschfield. Yeah, many people feel he's still one of the best one-point players in the world. Often gets best in class and even MVP awards.
Yeah, he's vital to his team. He's that kind of linchpin for them. A very good inbounder, and yeah, they've got two very good one-pointers. Canada. They've also got Patrice Dagenet, who's a world-class one, and they can kind of rotate them, which is perfect for them.
Yes. So at the end of that first quarter, it's Canada 15, New Zealand 14. The ball, his whole family are involved in the sport. Father is equipment manager, but there's a turnover from Canada and chance for New Zealand to level it up if they can convert this, but the ball's going loose again. Got over the halfway line, Whitehead's touched it and then he's crashed over. The ball's still actually on the court, but the game's been stopped.
This is
it was all happening there.
This one turnover here with the interception from Barton Coots. It's actually really good defending from Lafono before that. But I've seen it so often in this tournament. We've just given a turnover away straight after getting one, but I think New Zealand are going to get lucky here, and this is going to be their ball, I believe.
I think they are.
And it's one of those moments, so Barton Coots got the interception, passed it to Lafono, and it's almost like you just got to take 3 or 4 seconds to calm your team down, get them out of that mindset of, defending and turn into the calm that you need for offence.
So Canada never actually got full possession of that. So it was technically still New Zealand's possession, but they've had a full 40 put back on the clock.
Right.
So because it was New Zealand's possession and it was interrupted by Whitehead going to the floor as a fallen player. So that's why New Zealand got the full 40 back. So, good work by the table officials in getting that one right. So Caldwell on the ball. So I was saying his father's the equipment manager, his mother's a table official, and his brother's a referee.
So a really key turnover there for New Zealand in the key. Great defence from them, and it does actually look like Canada have been struggling to score against that key defence.
Yep, it's been very strong. I've been very impressed by the United States' key defence as well. That's rock solid.
It is, yeah.
But it's Medell running the clock for a few seconds to make sure. 4 in the key, I'm thinking, is the call there?
Yeah, Mike Whitehead saw him close to the line and he really just carried on pushing him in, really. So
yeah, as a defender, you've got to be careful of where that line is. Only 3 allowed in the key. And teams have different setups as well. Some will play 2 in, 2 out, and others will go 3 in, 1 out.
So this all but guarantees Canada scoring the last goal.
It does. As you mentioned, score the last try, get the first try. There's an 8 try difference over the course of the game if you can manage to do that. You don't always have the possession arrow, and we think it's a Canadian possession arrow to be able to start the third quarter. So at the end of a fantastically close first half, we have the score of Canada 26, New Zealand 25.
Here's to a century of growing together and knowing the next 100 can be even better.
Lafono struggling to get this ball in. Gonna have to pass to the low pointer. And they've dealt with that situation well there, New Zealand. Lovely ball movement there from New Zealand. Lots of quick passes, spreading the court and making it difficult for Canada to defend them.
If Medell is the talisman for Canada, Leslie is the equivalent on the New Zealand lineup. A 3-time gold medalist at the Paralympics in the 150-metre individual medley. He won gold in Beijing, Rio and London. Sadly didn't make it to Tokyo for the wheelchair rugby team, but great to see him back now on the world stage.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why he wasn't in Tokyo, but he's like you would have thought he'd have made it on skill. So I don't know if he had prior commitments or whether he was injured or something like that. But, you know, it's great to have him back in the sport.
Certainly is.
Leslie attacking the key here. Oh, that really looked like it was going over Barton Coots, but Fabien Lavoie gets the interception, passes it to Zach Medell, and he flies away to score the try. In a little bit of trouble here. No. Zach really composed.
Yeah, they managed that well, didn't they? Yeah, I thought they would have scored a bit sooner, but they've run as much off the clock as they possibly can. And New Zealand, Barton Coots with that extra set of a pass, but it doesn't come off for the hooter goes. 43 Canada, 38 New Zealand. Big third quarter for Canada there.
100%, and exactly what they needed as well. The coaches will be happy. You know, I don't know if the game being so tight coincided with you know, the medical equipment that Medell had. Obviously, he's vital to Canada, and him being off for that kind of 5-6 minutes, you can lose momentum. New Zealand can gain confidence, and all of a sudden you find yourself going goal for goal for longer than you want.
Yes, 11 all in the second quarter, and as you say, possibly because Medell wasn't on the court. You know, big change there. New Zealand scored 13, but Canada had 17 in that third quarter, so a much higher scoring quarter, and of course a big gap as well.
And here we have the game clock running out, and the players show their respect for each other after a hard-fought game. New Zealand having a really good first half, and Canada really kind of showing their class in that second half and breaking away.
Yeah, the greater level of resources with the Canadian team, more experience, more players, and we're about to announce the Grundfos Player of the Match.
By Quinn. And it goes to player number 33, Zach Medell from Canada.
Canada's Zach Medell. A towel around his shoulders. Gets that Grundfos Player of the Match. Richly deserved.
Zach Medell, another player of the game. Congratulations, Zach. Win against New Zealand. You guys are going for the 5th position match tomorrow. How was that game?
It was an interesting one. New Zealand had us on the ropes for the first half, first 3 quarters even. Luckily, we had lots of players see the court, so we were able to keep everybody fresh. And in the end, I think we just outlasted them in third, fourth quarter. The balls finally started to come our way. They'd used all their timeouts up, and we managed to come out victorious.
Well, I saw you bleeding a little bit earlier in the game. Is that because the game was too intense? Show us.
I wish I could say that this was rugby related, but that's because I was up at 5 a.m. this morning and decided that I should shave my head before this game, and was unsuccessful apparently in my endeavors. So I finally got to stop bleeding this morning, and on court, I guess the blood flowing popped the seal, and we started leaking again. So I came off, and we had a lineup come fill in, did a fantastic job. I wasn't worried, and they managed to go out there and get the job done for us as well.
I like to think that your sport is so intense that's because that's why you're bleeding. But anyhow, congratulations, Zach. All the best for tomorrow's game for the 5th position.
Hey, thanks very much.
And this is very good news for Team Canada, a win against New Zealand 60-49, and this will bring the Canadian team for the 5th position match tomorrow, which will happen against Great Britain, the defending Paralympic champion, or against France, the European champions from this year. We will know a little later today, but we will have another package show for you tomorrow to show you this 5th position match. Alors, c'est une excellente nouvelle pour l'équipe canadienne, une belle victoire de 60-49 contre la Nouvelle-Zélande. Le Canada se classe maintenant pour le match de 5e position qui aura lieu demain contre la Grande-Bretagne, les champions paralympiques défendants de Tokyo, ou la France, qui sont les champions d'Europe cette saison. Alors, on va le savoir un peu plus tard, mais nous aurons un montage des faits saillants de ce match également demain. We again thank you for watching this Paralympic Super Series Wheelchair Rugby World Championships in Denmark, and this is presented by Canadian Tire Sport Analytics. I am your host, Benoit, and I say see you tomorrow, and thank you for watching.
Here's to a century of growing together and knowing the next 100 can be even better.